In the first quarter of 2023, BYD has increased its electric car sales by an astronomical amount versus the same quarter of 2022. It made billions of dollars in profit last year, and now it says it's going to sell twice as many cars as Tesla this year. My friends, they're coming fast. I think that a lot of automakers should be very concerned about BYD, and the United States government, well, you can see why. For years, they've been warning about this company. I don't lie about that. That's actually true. You can look it up. In fact, certain politicians within the US government have tried on several occasions to prevent BYD's expansion from hitting the United States. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it? You can see why China might be angry at the United States, considering the way that the US has blocked BYD, and China has allowed foreign car companies, including General Motors and Ford, to enter China and kind of not do whatever they want. But I mean, now you can. Now you can. China has changed the laws. You can now own your foreign business in China 100%. It's not Tesla's the only company that's done this, but actually legacy autos manufacturers could do this if they wanted to. They choose not to do so. So Tesla, obviously, just over 1.3 million car sales, fully electric in 2022. BYD sold a bit less than that in fully electric cars. However, if BYD does achieve its aims this year, which it appears as though it will, 3.6 million electric cars, of course that includes plug-in hybrids. If 50% of those are plug-in hybrids and 50% are EVs, that would mean BYD would sell 1.8 million fully electric cars, no plug-in hybrids, no motors in them whatsoever. And therefore, it will be a close, very close race between the two car companies this year for supremacy and bragging rights. Yeah, you know, those things probably don't really matter, but actually they do. This is free publicity. It's free PR. No one wants to come second. BYD released its 2022 financial report. It highlighted its massive growth in revenue and profit. In 2022, the company's operating income was $61.4 billion US dollars. That was an increase of 84% from 2021. BYD's net profit was $2.4 billion US dollars, a yearly increase of 403%. Now, of course, that was a lot less profit than Tesla. Tesla, in fact, made 10 times more money per car sold than BYD, but BYD was investing a lot at the same time. BYD's profit was impressive. I mean, $2.5 billion of profit, that's a lot better than a lot of automakers make, especially in their relative infancy, or at least when they're trying to move away from gasoline selling cars to selling EVs, pretty much EVs and plug-in hybrids only. That's what BYD did, and they still made a massive profit, which is amazing. Of course, Tesla made a lot more than that. In fact, Tesla made $12.6 billion in profit in 2022, meaning around 5 times more profit and 10 times more approximately per car. Now, the reason for that is that BYD is not a company that sells cars only, so those BYD profits also come from sales of other things like masks, selling their components and batteries to other companies. I mean, they're now the second biggest battery manufacturer in the world, so they sell lots of other stuff. They even make iPads for Apple. Regardless, a 400% increase in profit is impressive. If BYD can simply double profits this year, instead of quadrupling them like they did last year, that would mean they would make $5 billion US dollars. I'm pretty sure they'd be happy with that. Now, BYD sold 1.85 million vehicles last year, with 49.5% fully electric cars and 50.5% plug-in hybrids. Of these, 97% were sold in China. The average price per vehicle was $24,000 US dollars. Profit per vehicle was $1,200 US dollars. Clearly, that's not a lot of profit. I believe BYD probably made a significant amount of profit from their battery sales as well. BYD is a Tesla battery supplier. It's not official, but both companies have admitted that, yes, some Tesla cars use BYD batteries, Blade batteries, I believe. So if BYD sold 1.85 million cars last year, that means they're aiming to double their sales numbers this year. And so far, they are actually on track to do that based on their sales in the first quarter. 3.6 million cars. Where does that rank them worldwide? The Toyota Group, which includes a number of brands, had 10 million sales last year. Volkswagen Group, including a number of brands, had 7.9 million sales. Hyundai Kia Group, which is sort of not a group, had 6.7 million sales worldwide. In fourth place, the Renault-Nissan Alliance had 6.3 million vehicle sales, but I'm not really sure I'd call that fourth place because, both those companies have kind of divested from each other to some degree recently. In fifth place, Stellantis had 6.3 million. And in seventh place, General Motors had 5.83 million. In eighth was Ford with 3.6 million. In other words, BYD believes it can overtake Ford this year and become the world's 8th best selling manufacturer. Obviously, it's a long way off General Motors sales. That won't be happening. It could though in 2024. Now you're probably wondering who was next. Well, in 9th place was Suzuki with 2.87 million. And in 10th place was BMW with 2.33 million. Clearly, BYD will easily surpass BMW this year. However, the rising star worldwide last year was actually BYD. They jumped 8 spots in this list. They were in 13th place. Sales increased last year by 160%. Tesla was in 15th place worldwide, with sales increasing by 41.4%. Well, clearly Tesla vehicle sales are growing at a much slower pace than BYD's. But now BYD are planning on selling cars worldwide. They're already selling them in Australia. They're selling them in New Zealand. They're selling them in Israel, where they're the best selling electric car manufacturer. They're selling them in many, many countries now. Today, you can buy them. That's a global car company. We're not going to see 97% of BYD sales this year in China. It'll be closer to probably 85%. The next year, 75. The next year, 65. It's really going to be very difficult for companies like Nissan, Toyota, Mazda, Subaru, Honda, even GM, Ford, Volkswagen. It's really going to be very difficult for them to compete because BYD, being the second largest battery manufacturer in the world, can make batteries at a much lower cost than the competition. They're lithium iron phosphate cells. They're also now making sodium ion batteries. Plus, they have a first mover advantage. Plus, they make a lot of the stuff that goes into their cars and they make it in China. They get massive subsidies. Their labor is cheaper. A lot of their costs are much cheaper than their competition. It's going to be very, very hard to compete with all of that. And this means one thing. Right now, BYD are the largest Chinese automaker in the world. In fact, they're not just the largest Chinese automaker, they're the largest automaker in China. And this actually does matter. 27 million cars are sold per year in China. It's the biggest car market in the world, and it comprises around 34% of the entire global car market. During the earnings call conference, Wang Chanfu, BYD's founder and CEO, announced the company would sell 3.6 million vehicles this year, doubling 2022 sales. Now keep in mind, BYD doesn't make gasoline-powered cars anymore. It doesn't make diesel-powered cars. It makes plug-in hybrids and EVs only. So its ramp up is pretty much the future of the company. It doesn't need to write off factories, workers, retrain workers, get rid of production lines, invest in new production lines. It's done most of that already. It's already built one of the world's biggest car factories that makes only electric cars. The CEO revealed plans for their Denza brand. Denza was a brand co-owned by Mercedes and BYD. However, Mercedes divested themselves from that partnership. They now only own 10%. By the year's end, BYD aims to sell 20,000 Denza cars every month at high margins. 10,000 units of the MPV Denza D9 and 10,000 fastback SUVs called the N7. In 2022, BYD's 5 best-selling cars were the Song Plus, which sold 458,000. The Chin Plus, which sold 315,000. The Han, which sold 274,000. The Dolphin, which is now becoming a global electric car. It's on sale here in Thailand now for $23,000. 205,000 of those were delivered. The Yen Plus, or the Atto 3, there was 202,000 of those that received new owners. So what about subsidies? Did BYD get a benefit from that? Absolutely. Without that, their profit would have been much smaller. They received $1.5 billion in subsidies. That accounted for 62% of BYD's annual profits. This year, those profits will go down enormously from subsidies. Most of the subsidies have been wiped out, so they need to stand alone. Therefore, it's unlikely we're going to see a doubling of profit again because of that reason. Other EV manufacturers in China have also received massive contributions via subsidies, not just from the government at a federal level, but also at a state level. Analysts predict that Tesla will receive a subsidy of $500 million in China in 2022, but that doesn't actually include what gasoline-powered manufacturers like Toyota, Volkswagen, etc., Stellantis Group, what they've had to pay Tesla for their carbon credits, which actually is just like Tesla getting free money. Now, BYD will be the recipient of some of that money as well. How much did BYD invest in research and development? Well, they invested $290 million. In addition, BYD's R&D personnel reached 69,697. That's an increase of 72% over the previous year. They invested very heavily in new engineers. However, during this reporting period, BYD engaged in the following sectors: automotive, mobile phones, parts of mobile phones, assembly, rechargeable batteries, obviously lithium-ion, obviously the majority of their batteries are LFP, lithium iron phosphate, photovoltaics as well. In the revenue structure, automobiles, automotive parts, and batteries accounted for 76% of total revenue. Interestingly, BYD said that they are going after Volkswagen in China. Now, Volkswagen makes 50% of its profits worldwide in China, or it did anyway last year. This year, well, you can wave goodbye to that. BYD plan on surpassing Volkswagen completely to become the highest selling automotive company in the Chinese market in 2023. They've already done that for the last 3 months in a row. Well, it's pretty clear that race is already over. It's only been 3 months of the year. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that race is finished. Now, BYD is a big player in energy storage. They sell battery packs for energy storage, not just batteries for cars. That's a big part of the reason why they're the second biggest battery manufacturer in the world. Car News China says that BYD's photovoltaic business is also a part of the company's clean energy portfolio, with a whole industrial chain layout, including silicon wafers, battery cells, photovoltaic modules, and photovoltaic system applications. BYD is the only car company on the planet that actually makes its own silicon chips. So Car News China says this: BYD achieved great success in performance and sales volume in 2022, and they're expanding their market share rapidly whilst increasing exports. Now keep in mind that BYD actually purchased around 8 ships to transport its cars all over the world. Not all of them have been built yet, but they will be. It's kind of scary just imagining that happening everywhere. In 2023 though, China has cancelled EV subsidies, and the price war in the automotive industry has become very fierce. Industry insiders are very concerned about whether BYD can sell more than 3 million vehicles in 2023 for this reason. Currently, BYD sales are still through the roof in China, but the automotive market does appear on the verge of imploding. As BYD are so reliant on the Chinese car maker, you can see why this would be perceived as a significant risk. I do hold BYD stock, but I definitely won't be increasing my portfolio this year unless something significant happens to the price, like a big price reduction happens. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.